talked about this process many times before on my live streams and in other videos, so I figured it was about time I made an actual how-to video to kind of show you exactly what I do during this process. So if you are looking to imitate this process, or if I'm just very bad at explaining it in the verbal format, hopefully showing you what I actually do will help you along the way. So basically, this works with any game case. I recommend you take the game out of the case, whether it's a disc or a cartridge or whatever. Just don't want to subject it to the heat necessarily. Then I take a hairdryer and put it on low heat and just kind of wave it back and forth over the label. Warm things up a little bit, hopefully loosen up the stickiness of the label and make it a little bit easier for you to peel off, and hopefully take all that stickiness along with the label that you get peeled off. Now, the hardest part for me has always been getting these labels started. But once you get that first little corner there, you should be able to move along pretty smoothly. Just keep applying that heat. I like to wave it back and forth a little bit just to keep the heat spread across evenly and not burn my fingers too much. But just gently, slowly, lots of patience, and it comes off nice and clean. Always remember, of course, to put the game back in the case when you're done. But otherwise, that's really all there is to it. Now, I'll show you this a few more times just to show you a few different scenarios and what's going on here. Sometimes you have labels on the inside of the case. Exact same scenario here. These usually come off a little bit easier if they're stuck on the hard plastic. They'll typically come off a little bit cleaner by themselves, and they're a little bit easier to peel up than the loose plastic on the outside of the case. But same principle here. Now, the big thing I do want to point out is when you are removing this label, never pull on the label. I'm just holding it taut is how I like to think about it. I'm letting the heat do all the work and not actually pulling on the label. When you pull on the label, that's typically when things tear and when things get stuck and there's lots of goop left on the case, and it's a whole nother level of cleanup. But if you just pull once again is kind of the wrong word, but if you hold onto the label firmly so that it's not loose and it's not flopping around, but you hold it tight, that is going to be just enough pressure to keep the sticker moving away from the case as you heat up the sticker with the hairdryer. Sometimes you will need to apply or reapply heat if it's taking a little while. And sometimes, honestly, just based on the type of the sticker that's used, the surface that it's stuck on, how long the sticker has actually been stuck there, what kind of temperatures the game has been stored in, sometimes there's just not going to be a way to completely get rid of all the stickiness just by removing the label. Sometimes you will be left with some residue, and that's when we have to take things a little bit further. Once again, when we're doing this, I recommend removing the paper insert, because what I do next is use a product called Goo Gone. And Goo Gone, it's an oil-based mixture, and so if you leave that paper in there and it seeps around the edge of the plastic and onto that paper, it's going to soak in, and it's not really, it never quite dries properly, in my opinion. And so you'll want to remove that paper so you don't have to deal with any messiness there. Now I'm going to let that sit for a bit, and we'll come back to it in a minute. In the meantime, I want to show you that this process works on other things as well, such as portals. They love to slap price stickers on these as well, and they can sometimes be annoying and to get off. So we're gonna heat them up a little bit, and just a little bit of low heat. Once again, there's electronics in here, so I don't want to, increase the temperature too rapidly by any means, but just little by little, peel up the corner, let the heat do the work, just hold the label taut, and you should be good. Nice and clean. Works on multiple different kinds of portals, just like multiple different kinds of game cases. If there's a sticker on there, especially on a hard surface like this, it's going to come up pretty nicely. If not, it will definitely clean up nicely afterwards. Once again, with a little bit of Goo Gone, if it doesn't come up cleanly for you in the first place, or it's just a bad label. So we got a little bit of stickiness here. So once again, I'm just going to take the Goo Gone and apply it, and we'll let it sit for a few minutes. On a harder surface like this, it probably doesn't, just for a little bit of goo, it doesn't need to sit too long, but we'll set it aside and come back to the game case now that's been sitting for a couple of minutes, and with the Goo Gone, and we'll just wipe it off. I use a little circular motion, and you can see it just disappearing there. Goo Gone has done its job, and the case is clean. That's all there is to it. So once you got that all cleaned up, everything's nice and dry, then you can open the case up again, put the paper insert back in. Once again, don't forget to put the game back in the case, and you're all good to go with that. The portal's been sitting for a few minutes now. Once again, just dry rag, clean up the Goo Gone. It'll take the goo with it, and your portal should be nice and clean and ready to go as well.